tamba naye 𝗬𝘄𝗲𝗂𝗱 unosara ndiwe uri kunze. Saka zviri nani join the winning team pane kuti iwe uzotanga kusarudzwa senzungu pakati pedzimwe kuti iwe ndo wakaora. Saka musi weSaturday hatisi kuda kuona munhu anosara achiti mutoroshanga vachauya ana 𝗬𝘄𝗲𝗂𝗱 nekuno kuona last time vakamboya pasentinari ndizvo vakabvunza kuti imi ndimavhenda masara nokuti muri weTPC pano vakapisirwawo izvozvo. Saka hatisi kuda izvozvo. Kana wanzwana kuti sarawo ndiwe wega unoziva pakaita sei paumire ino ndoga unoziva zvauri kutemba. Saka kuti musi weSaturday ZUPCO richiuya vhenda rese muZUPCO toenda isusu kurali yapurezidendi wedu Idi Mnangagwa kusentinari.
Ndadzoka muri nyoro ndiende mberi ndaumwe wenyu kuitira kuti pamberi apo pachapinda supu yekuti iwewe wega hatisiushidzirai batutara zvakataura newakauya wachikweta basa iri. Tiri kuwirirana here wabereki? Saka pepa iri resero iri tinoda kuti chitatu chega hakuna vima tatononokwa izvo tingadai kuruti kana kungoti tikapana nguva ya 6 o'clock tobva tauya semaunganire mamaitapo wakwaungoti sero cheanenge ane pepa rake wotoona kuti wekusere kwangu uyai kuno bhoenda uko wesere rakati bhoenda uko wesere rakati bhoenda uko kwangomaka kuti ndingauya here pautotika ta asina kuuya hanzi kana waita rwendo kumbira kuna sero chea kuenda mutaurire kana kwandiri chairman unosvika ini ndaitawo chinyi ndafanzirwa wanga we ndaita rwendo muchaitatuya pachama paregister nendisiri boba
basa
wari kubasa yes ndo turi kutaura zvakangofanana
ndetichendo basa everyday ndokumbira kuna sere cheo ndakuno
iwe samari sekuru nyati terai zvandiri kutaura ndati chitatu chega kwete everyday ba
ndenda kukumbira chega
izgai nyati munoti mimi chitatu munenge muri kubasa imimi ndicho munopa report kuna sero chair wenyu kuti chitatu nini mwangu nendisiri boba ndiri kubasa sero chenyu woziwa anenge akutoziva akuitira kuti azokumake kuti tick present andiri mubazwa zvandutaura handi kuti tinoya everyday papanapa tinoya chitatu chega chitatu chikasvika totika munhu chitatu chikasvika totika munhu register rine rusanza ndiro iri chipi sero iri kusvika hanzi kana takwenda kovhota sero chair uyu ane bepa rake iri ndiye atanga ari pekutanga hanzi pakuvhota kwako zvemuchaita achanyanga dzako kuita zvaanoita ati muballot boxes kuti wapinda panumber 1 uyu sero chair achanyora kuti number 1 apinda ndiobey vanyora panapo obey atonyora pepa ranenge anaro number 2 ndiani ndi John vanyora 3 ndiani ndi Sara 4 ndiani ndinhingi hanzi zvichakubatisai mega nekuvhota kwako muri kuita according nepepa iyi ndawa usurungopinda chipindireba usina kusvika nepana sero chair wako uri utanga wasvika pana sero chair ndiye achabva akutika kuti chienda wadini enda upinde uvhota hausurungoita zvataita kare kongoti wasvikako kungosvika kuti ndasvika chitupo changu 4 pautopinda pautoenda kovhota gore rino zvizachinja pane protoko yekuti sero chair ndinotanga kusvikira handi sero chair yegaba kune warongwa wakawanda muchawaona musi wekuvhota wacho wanenge wakagarira basa irori sero chair tiutaura ndiye munoziva ndiye wemumutana medu kune vamwe wasiri wemumutana meduba like wauzwa awo ndiwo wanenge wari kumonita izvozvo wanenge ari kugara pasabhuku izvozvo wamboya kokupai mahighlights chete saka taramba kuti wamwe muzofomoriwe muzimbabwe pazi anenge asina kuatenda meeting kwaisabhuku anounzenyu zviya pasabhuku paimbuzi muri kuizvayo vabereki ende hakuna koine mangaraba iwe akanga wanyozera kwava kuzoti hauna kuyaba sabhuku chaanenge arutarisa imbuzi yake iri kuenda kuna sabhuku basi koruda komangara wobva wataona kuti uri komangara kupi kwaunozobudira ngekuti iwe uruzi uya kumusangano iwe woramba kuya kumusangano weZANU PF yenyika iri kutonga nyika ino kwazvinovakwa ndiwe iwewe muridzi ndiwe unovaka nyika ino. Saka mukanda ikoti tida kuchinja wabereki chinja hako chinja asi tida kuona kuti machinjiro acho kwachinja kaindini ngoti wakomana nyika inoita zvese ngekuti nyika iyi haina kuti umwe samwana rubva hake uko zvakaita nindini baba pamba pangu kwakuyosa nhinga yakuya kuti iwewe panapa ibhandini rada kugara panapa nemukadzi wako nemhuri yacho ndiani anozvibvumira izvezvi. Saka ipapo manje pane kufiwa kwazi pane waruziva remazuva emaelection akaitwa mangani wabereki izvo muri kuita memeeting uko pane imwe diga zvatiri kutaura tsa muchabvunza ndichakupai muchabvunza yenyu mhayo ndiri kubvunza pane mubvunzo wandabvunza pana kuti mazuva emaelection anzi akaitwa mangani muri kwaziva here mairi kune a2023 nemusi wa2 toti July August September 2 September irerun zvakabva zvatotaurwa zvese. Saka parerun iyoyo hapachisina kutaurirana ba ngekuti maramba president kunoku muri zvati aramba president kangani muromboziziwa tamuramba kubva muna 2008 na 2020 ani apa 13 kozana 2018 takaramba president kunoku vanhu mukavhotera mamaksi akawanda kune 𝗙𝗵𝘂𝗱 yanga ichiri MDC. Saka hanzi zvino hwendo huno dzokerera izve zvamakaita izvezvi zvekuramba president enda izve mudzokererezve. Saka kana pane rerun hapachisina kutaurirana ba motoziva kwaiyo unogona ngofuma hako wakafa ndikoti zvinake enda wafa hako wasati watosvika munogara kwazviuraya kodya temika wasati watokusvikira apa ndizvo zvakataurwa zvabereki. Isusu hatisi kushidzirai tauya kuti tikupewa mashoko ataka izvozvo handiti kwakazi meeting sabhuku akakuwa nekutaurira masero chaakafamba wamwe takatosangana nawo wari kuita izvo wari kuita iwe meeting hauna kuizwa here imwe ndaizwa tiri kuuya ndikati munhu unomumanikidza ndakangoti right takava tadzikawo meeting iye haana kuuya hatina kumuona aita hake zvaari kudini ari kuzwa kuda paditi rake asi mangwana ukangaone chawaona petozoti nyingi ndiandidini anditengesaba chichakutengesa ipepa iri rawako akonyoresa kuti ndiri memba yeZANU PF ndinotsikira musangano wababa Mnangagwa ari kutonga iri ndiro riri kukumangarira iri ndiro richakubatisa unhatawa hwako nezvauri kuita kuti kuri kura musoro uchadzokera kuita musoro uri normal. Kana kwazi meeting budai muende kune vamwe ndapota hangu wabereki zvandiutaurirai patakwenda apa patonyangara kukazi meeting munhu wese endai muende pari kuenda pozi uyaiti sangana ndapota hangu dari maipoti so panapa pasvipa kuti uda zvekutambira
tamba naye 𝗙𝗵𝗂𝗶𝗶 unosara ndiwe uri kunze. Saka zviri nani join the winning team pane kuti iwe uzotanga kusarudzwa senzungu pakati pedzimwe kuti iwe ndowakaora. Saka musi weSaturday hatisi kuda kuona munhu anosara achiti mutoroshanga vachauya ana 𝗙𝗵𝗂𝗶 nekunokuwo kuona last time vakamboya pasentinari ndizvo vakabvunza kuti imi ndimavhenda masara nekuti muri weTPC pano vakapisirwawo izvozvo. Saka hatisi kuda izvozvo. Kana wazoona kuti sarawo ndiwe wega unoziva pakwaita sei paumire ndowega unoziva zvauri kutemba. Saka kuti sunhu weSaturday zupko richiuya vhenda rese muzupko toenda isusu kurali yapresident wedu Mnangagwa kusentinari.
Dhiriwo rairo vanogara mudhiriwo dhiriwo rarumbanje vanogara mudhiriwo dhiriwo rairo vanogara mudhiriwo dhiriwo rarembanje vanogara mudhiriwo vakomana vanogara mudhiriwo dhiriwo rarembanje vanogara mudhiriwo musatambe navo vanogara mudhiriwo dhiriwo rarembanje vanogara mudhiriwo dhiriwo ravakomana dhiriwo rarembanje vanogara mudhiriwo vanogara mudhiriwo vanogara mudhiriwo dhiriwo ravakomana dhiriwo rarembanje vanogara mudhiriwo dhiriwo rairo vanogara mudhiriwo dhiriwo rarembanje nogara mudhiriwo dhiriwo ravakomana dhiriwo rarembanje vanogara mudhiriwo vanogara mudhiriwo vanogara mudhiriwo asi vakomana vanogara mudhiriwo dhiriwo rarembanje hazi basa tagara naro yemeri nazvotoda takadhakwa yemeri nazvibo iwe bo yemeri nazvibo zvembanje yemerina vakomana iro basa tagara naro zvinotoda takabhema zvibo iwe bo yemerina zvibo zvembanje yemerina zvibo iwe bo zvibo zvembanje vakarohwa zvavo vakadzereberwa nemupanje vese vari kutaura manzwa hwana anga achitaura about mavendors kunzi hamufaniri kusara zipo richauya pano rinotuta mavendors ese ukasara you need to explain Colonel Charles, how are you? Long time. Hanzi ukangosara chete you need to explain. Mukoma Yuda say Edi zviri kufamba. Hanzi ukangosara uri venda you need to explain. People are being forced to attend ZANU PF rallies. Right? Hanzi mukoma Shapiro NS zvirizeke hanzi kuvhundutsira vanhu kudai here. Vakomana ingaita nyika here yekuti vanhu vanogara vakabatira ura mumaoko zviri sedhani svikiro reZimbabwe ndatenda mwana wama zviri kufamba here. I salute you guys for enduring these hours listening to me whilst I'm like dissecting the situation back in Zimbabwe. Today I'm talking about electoral fraud. This is part of electoral fraud. People think electoral fraud is just manipulating the results and so forth. What we call electoral fraud is we start with the playing field of the election. Zimbabwe must be a sovereign country. Zimbabwe must be an independent country. When we say an independent country, it's a country that went into war, fought for the freedom of the people of Zimbabwe. There are quite a lot of freedoms that citizens must enjoy. So if you look at whatever is happening, ndakasimba chiremba zviri kufamba ritafi. If you look at Itai Larry, how are you? If you look at if you listen to the videos that I've played, one is a video, one is an audio. One, I'm glad that I wanted people to identify who this person is. Like on this platform, we've got someone who identified Mdaranga Chivundutsiravan. He was saying every Wednesday we are going to hold a meeting here. And on this meeting, everyone will be marked a register that you are present. You must be marked a register that you are present. This old man is known as Chimuchenga. Pride Chama, really say classmate, teammate, brother, friend, zvese zviri pana Chama. zviri sei pride chama zviri kufamba here mwana wamai. So this guy, this old man intimidating people in Wonde Valley is known as Chimuchenga. Let me urge the people of Wonde Valley to say, if you have never taken action against any idiot, against any thief, this is the time the Wonde Valley people must take action against an electoral thief. This one is a thief. He is not an ordinary Zimbabwean. There is no ordinary Zimbabwean who knows that the country went into a war. My helicopters, good ambulance, is frauded. It's another fraud as well. Thank you so much for bringing that issue. Because I understand all these buses, people are being forced into these buses. They are being driven to ZANU PF rallies. Today, early in the morning, one of these buses veered off the road and killed one person. Unfortunately, this guy was trapped under the bus and he died. A lot of people were injured and there were no helicopters on site to ferry the injured people to hospital. So this is part of fraud as well, that Mnangagwa brought some helicopters. I think these are for personal use so that they can manage to lift gold in time. If gold is found in Bulawayo, they take gold in time with helicopters to Harare. They fly helicopters. Those helicopters won't be subjected to immigration or to searches like plane. So it is like a way of ferrying gold from different parts of the country into Mnangagwa's place for the gold mafia. So these are the helicopters used. So they are not helicopters for ambulances, because so far I was counting a number of accidents that occurred in Zimbabwe where there was no helicopter in sight. Remember, last time we had a lorry carrying bricks which had a head-on collision with those guys who were going to the ZANU PF rally, and those guys too, the two guys died on spot. A driver of a lorry almost bending the lorry and was salvaged by ZANU PF, other ZANU PF activists, but the two guys in that car were very unfortunate. They died on the spot. So the other guy from the lorry, lorry driver, was critical, and we thought, as he was critical, that a helicopter will come and uplift him to a nearby hospital so that he can be attended timely. Unfortunately, that did not happen. Nobody saw the helicopter. Nobody saw helicopters. So we don't know where these helicopters are operating. Today, there's a bus that was involved in an accident this morning, killing one ZANU PF supporter. They were on their way to Nkai, and there were no helicopters on site. A lot of people were injured from that bus. Those buses are probably 65 seaters, but they take about 90 to 100 people. They are overloaded. As Goreshanduka, yes, I foresee that as well. So this Chimuchenga from Wonde Valley is intimidating people, and he is telling people that in 2018, the Wonde Valley people, they voted for President Nelson Chamisa in numbers, and Mnangagwa did not score any votes in Wonde Valley. So he is intimidating people that you should be warned that if we lose the presidential election, and if we are forced into 2 September rerun, you guys, you better kill yourself before these guys descend on you. And he is saying, if you don't attend these vigils, which are going to be held every Wednesday, you need to pay a goat to the headman. I'm not sure what the fine for, that if you don't attend every Wednesday, you need a goat. If you don't attend 10 Wednesdays, you need 10 goats to pay a fine for failure to attend a ZANU PF rally. If you look at in towns, people are being beasts, people are being forced into buses, and these buses are getting involved in an accident. People are not receiving any treatment, and Zimbabweans are suffering. Remember, there was a rally in Buera, ZANU PF rally, was it Buera or Bikita, when a lorry ferrying ZANU PF supporters veered off the road, killing 2 guys on the spot and injuring a dozen on the spot. So we did not see helicopters there ferrying injured people to hospital. So far, we have seen about 10 accidents since Mnangagwa started busing people to his rallies. As Nkoma Yuda Magadini Basa, Shanduko, Ndaganaka, Claudius, Orise Monauma Himajon, Gogoanata, Jiruk Fambere. So the people in Honde Valley are being warned by Chimchenga that please kill yourself before we come. Because on the 2nd of September, it will be a rerun. We will be looking at the results, how the president fared. So it's very unfortunate that the people of Honde Valley do not understand. The results does not indicate who voted 𝗃𝗃𝐶, who voted ZANU PF. But remember, ZANU PF information desk was urging Zimbabwe ZANU PF supporters that on the day of voting, all ZANU PF supporters, you are required to either put a signature on your candidate, or you put an X, or you write your name, so that they want to know who has voted for ZANU PF and who did not vote for ZANU PF. So they are saying, Gladys, how are you? I'm well, my sister. So ZANU PF information desk is urging all ZANU PF supporters, even in the rural areas, that on the day of voting, you must either write your name on the ballot paper on your candidate to say, look, your candidate is President Emmerson Mnangagwa. So you write your name. But they are saying if you don't write your name, you are not going to get inputs in the rural areas. They are saying you won't be able to get inputs. You won't be able to get food aid and so forth. So they are urging all ZANU PF members to say on the day of voting, please write your name on the box on your candidate. If your candidate is Emmerson Mnangagwa, you must write your name. You write your name 𝗃𝗃𝗲𝗃𝗃, so that ZANU PF will be able to know who voted for Emmerson Mnangagwa. So this is what ZANU PF are being encouraged, and they are saying that vote will be counted. So I urge 𝗃𝗃𝐶 activists or those who are going to vote on the day, that you are not going to be, 𝗃𝗃𝐶 is not going to victimize anyone. No one is going to be victimized by 𝗃𝗃𝐶. You don't need to write your name on the ballot paper if you are a 𝗃𝗃𝐶 member. You only need to put an X. An X means you are unknown. Nobody knows who voted here. Because an X is an X, cannot identify anyone. So the people of 𝗃𝗃𝐶, you are urged, you do not write your name. You don't write anything. You don't put your signature. Because you remain anonymous. Remain anonymous. Just go on your ballot paper. If your candidate is President Nelson Chamisa, put your X there. Don't write anything. Because we don't want to know who you are. We don't want to know who you voted for. So I'm urging 𝗃𝗃𝐶 activists or those who are going to vote in this election that you don't need to identify yourself on the ballot paper. You don't need to write your name. You don't need to do anything. But we don't want to know you. Because if you write your name, ZANU PF will victimize you. So don't write your name on the ballot paper. What you just need is an X. An X means you are not identifiable. So no one can identify you. So that is the trick which is there. Those in ZANU PF wants to identify you. They want to give you inputs. So if you are a ZANU PF member, if you are going to vote during ZANU PF, if your president is President Emmerson Mnangagwa, Tafadzwa Mugwadi has urged every ZANU PF member to write his name or her name on the ballot paper so that you will be identified for inputs. atete QD Magadi. So ZANU PF is saying, for us to bring inputs to you, write your name on the ballot paper, so that when after elections we take all the ballot papers, we look at them, then we know who voted ZANU PF. We bring maize to you, we bring everything that we want to you. This is what ZANU PF is campaigning, saying that you must vote, you must write your name. If your candidate is Mnangagwa, you can put your X there and write your name underneath the X, or write your name on top, or even if you don't put an X there, simply write your name, that my name is 𝗘𝗵𝗂𝗧, under your president, Emmerson Mnangagwa. This is what ZANU PF is urging its supporters to do. So if you are a ZANU PF supporter, be ready, put your name on your ballot paper. This is what 𝗘𝗹𝗲𝗰𝗁𝗂𝗋 has said, or has advised all ZANU PF supporters, so that at the end of the election, they will be taking food to the rural area and give those people food according to your name. They will be holding those ballot papers and say, 𝗘𝗵𝗂𝗧, come and get a 50 kg of maize meal. Probably that's what they are going to say. So what I'm urging the �CCC supporters, don't write anything on the ballot paper. Just put your X, because X is unidentifiable. No one can tell who wrote this X. So just put your X, put your ballot paper in the box and leave. Those who are with the Burumango strategy, it still is. ZANU PF is saying, attend these virtues so that you won't pay a goat. If they say that, go and attend. Go and attend. If you attend, have your name on their register. Let them tick you. But on the day of voting, understand, there is no one ticking you. You just go into the box, you get your ink, they check your name, just that, they give you a ballot paper. Once you hold that ballot paper, please don't sweat. Don't sweat. Don't sweat. I don't think ZANU PF, the ZANU PF is saying it's acceptable. It's acceptable to write their names on the ballot paper. They are saying you just go underneath ZANU PF is saying you just go underneath here and write your name. Right. So this is what ZANU PF is saying. They are saying don't put this X on the ballot paper. They are saying you just go here. It's for Emmerson Mnangagwa. Write your name here. 𝗘𝗵𝗂𝗧. 𝗘𝗹𝗲𝗰𝗂𝗲𝗃 has said it is acceptable to do that. So I don't think it will be a spoiled paper. So let's urge ZANU PF supporters to, will the votes be valid? According to 𝗘𝗹𝗲𝗰𝗂𝗋𝗃, he is saying, because he is reading constitutional law, he's now a student studying constitutional law. So he's saying, according to the constitution of a country, if ZANU PF supporters write their names on the ballot papers, it's acceptable, according to him. This is what ZANU PF spread. So we don't need to discourage them, because this is their strategy, because they want to follow later and give them food. So it's their strategy. We don't need to discourage them. We are just telling people that this is what ZANU PF is planning for its supporters. But for Zimbabweans, general Zimbabweans who want change, don't write anything on the ballot paper. Your X is just enough. Your X is just enough. If you want to vote President Nelson Chamisa, don't write your name. Because if you write your name, ZANU PF will victimize you. What you only need to do is just put your X and leave. Nobody will identify you. And a lot of ZANU PF people have voted to put X on Chamisa. So you won't be alone, you won't be victimized, you won't be followed. But nobody knows who you voted. Because everybody is going to write an X. But ZANU PF people are being urged to put their names down. In Mashonaland East, Mash Central, they are saying write your names so that the ZANU PF will know who voted Emmerson Mnangagwa. But the rest, please, don't write your name on that ballot paper. Don't put your name, don't put your signature. If you really loves President Chamisa, you just put X on Chamisa's box, that's it, then leave. No one will be able to identify you. No one will be able to identify who has written X here. Because everyone writes an X. It's a way of not identifying individuals. So this is the message that I have to the people of Zimbabwe. If you love Chamisa, if you love your 𝗏𝗏𝗃, just put an X. Don't write your name. If you love Emmerson Mnangagwa, if Mnangagwa is your candidate, ZANU PF has urged you to write your name on the ballot paper, and they are saying it's acceptable. We don't know. I've never seen it before. As Comrade Mnufara atete shami zvirise kwamdzimu kukurbo hanzi Alan was ameno anything that is not X or tick or shade a candidate. Yeah, it's ZANU PF strategy, Mkoma McDonald. We cannot say it doesn't work. Both to them, they're saying it works to them. But to 𝗏𝗏𝗃, you don't need to write your name. You just put your X. Don't identify yourself. Put your X and leave. Back from Ukraine. Thank you, Mgomarichi. Let's hope Zim zviri kufamba. So I'm talking about it will be a spoiled ballot if you write your name on a ballot. It's not allowed. Yeah, but you cannot. It's ZANU PF strategy. We cannot discourage them. Tafadzwa Mugwadi is studying constitutional law. He's a student in constitutional law. So I don't know which section of the constitution he read. So he is urging ZANU PF, the members, to write their names on the ballot paper where Emmerson Mnangagwa is. You simply write your name, 𝗘𝗹𝗲𝗰𝗁𝗂𝗍. This is what they are saying. So to us, we've never seen it. ZEC is not ZANU PF. Definitely, ZEC is not ZANU PF. So ZANU PF has got its own strategy. They are reading constitutional law. But the constitution does not belong to ZANU PF. It does not belong to ZEC. It belongs to Zimbabwe. So if you want to be a constitutional lawyer, you need to read the constitution, write assignments about the constitution of a country and its sections. So this guy is reading sections of the constitution, is writing assignments, and has come up with a section that allows ZANU PF supporters to identify themselves on the ballot paper so that they will be given sugar after the election. So we don't need to discourage them. This is their strategy. Our strategy is to tell Zimbabweans that please don't write anything on that paper, because if you write something on 𝗏𝗏𝗃, they will say it is spoiled. If you write something on ZANU PF, they say yes, it's fine. So to 𝗏𝗏𝗃 people, you don't need to write anything. You just need to put X and leave. But if you write your name, ZANU PF will throw it away and say it's a spoiled paper. But if you write on Mnangagwa, ZANU PF will count it. So please, 𝗏𝗏𝗃 people, don't write anything. Let ZANU PF do the strategy that they've been telling people that they want to do. To 𝗏𝗏𝗃, don't write anything. So today, I'm not going to take long, guys. Probably by 9:30, I'll be done with this presentation because I need to do some preparations for something. So I'm talking about electoral fraud. You have heard the audio about electoral fraud that you have heard here. These electoral frauds, my friend, there's no section like that in our constitution. Okay, Mkoma Magdi, I don't know. I've never read the constitution of Zimbabwe. I need to try read it now, or try start constitutional law so that I will be a constitutional lawyer. I'm looking for something at the moment, and I've asked you this, Kuzanu. I did not get an answer, so I ask as well if your candidate loses, is going to try again. I am not sure. Alan was. I'm not sure, my brother. but let them implement their strategy. We cannot stop them. Isusu, let's implement our own strategy. Let's encourage our candidates to do the traditional voting. Just an X on a ballot paper. That is, fraud is the DNA of the other party, definitely. Probably, you have noticed so far the rise of violence in every corner of the country. That is a strategy for rigging elections, for fraud. Violence is used by fraudsters. As you have noticed recently, that a lot of people have had their homes burned, children attacked, people attacked. 54 candidates of Marsh West akanononga kuregister nomination court. This is interesting, Mkoma McDonald, because National and West, Marsh West, I think if we approach the courts, or the courts have been approached, so these 54 candidates will be barred from contesting. It's interesting. Remember last time when I came here, I was talking of ZANU PF policies that whoever is advising ZANU PF does not like ZANU PF, because you can't do things that you can't shoot yourself on the foot. ZANU PF has always done that. Violence is now the courts. The courts are now campaigning for ZANU PF. Yes, I agree with you, Mkomachichi. The courts are now campaigning for ZANU PF. Mnangagwa himself has not done enough campaigns for the party to win. ZANU PF cannot win with whatever gibberish Mnangagwa was going around gibberishing, or Mnangagwa was going around. You know, someone who is asleep. If you talk to someone who's asleep, he can say anything, disconnected. Agarara munu achiroto mogonza ito munanenga agarara ipapo munanenga akafane hopa akakotsira apedza omuzunguza iwe mukakani kwira muti ndipe mangoyo. You understand? This is what exactly Mnangagwa is doing. If you listen to Mnangagwa today, there is no campaign that he has done. You compare the speeches of Mnangagwa and Mugabe, you can tell Mugabe used to campaign for ZANU PF. Mnangagwa has never said anything that can lead to people of Zimbabwe to vote his part, because he is not appealing to the electorate. He's not appealing to the electorate. As a result, they have resorted to use courts to try and rig elections, use courts to try and snatch some constituencies from places that are perceived as stronghold of the opposition. And if you look at so far, the ballot papers haven't been printed, and by such there are no valid ballot papers at the moment. We know that Mnangagwa survives on people who are abroad, who are supposed to receive postal ballot papers, and those postal ballot papers have never been posted. So I'm not sure how it's gonna work for Mnangagwa. The whole process is in chaos. The whole process is in chaos, because if you look at a lot of citizens who are scattered around the world are not allowed to vote. Only ZANU PF people who are on duty, the ambassadors and so forth, are the only people who are allowed to vote. And this election has got a lot of irregularities. If you look at, there is a house in Mbare, a 2-bedroom house with about 185 registered voters. So we don't know how 185 people live in a 2-bedroom house. So a lot of irregularities have been unearthed for this election, particularly the inflated figures, the use of one ID number. Remember, one ID number was used by someone else in 2005, in 2002 and 2005 elections. In 2008, that ID number was used by someone else who did not vote in 2002. And in 2013, the same ID was allocated to someone else. In 2018, it was given to someone else. Now, it's being used under a different name. But it's the same ID number. This is why ZANU was refusing to release the voters' roll. Because these irregularities are easily done. Because if it is computerized, you just copy any number, then you paste it on the spreadsheet, then you click search. All that same ID number, it will come up. This is the good part of electronic voters roll. If you type a name, it will come up. All the names, all the people using the same name, they will come up. Ashi, can you come and close my door?
Yes, Dad.
Thank you, boy. So you understand, one ID number has been used since 2002 by different people.
2002?
Yes, before Ashwins was born. Imagine.
Before I was born?
Yeah, before you were born, my dear. It's a shame. Close my door. Saka, there are a lot of electoral irregularities that have been unearthed in 2023 elections. By now, considering that ZANU has been running these elections probably from 2000 up to now, we shouldn't be complaining about voters' roll in shambles. Because they said after census, they are going to do a new registration. And you wonder why people who were in 2000, they are still in the voters' roll. But we last voted 2008. You see. So it means that ZANU has never done a new voters' roll. By now, after census and elimination, ZANU should have re-registered voters to make sure that it has got a new voters' roll. You understand? So everything that has been done by ZANU, it points towards electoral fraud. ZANU is trying to rig election, trying to steal election on behalf of ZANU PF. Since ZANU PF had lost 2008 election, and if you look at 𝗙𝗵𝗂, they lost by a mere 300,000 voters. And these 300,000 voters all came from National and Central. And they know with those statistics that if we go into this election, ZANU PF is not going to win an election because people are ready to defend their vote. And the Pachedu has found has found more than twice the number of voters that has been duplicated by ZANU. This is in breach of the Electoral Act or the Electoral Code. So the elections, ZANU PF is busy stealing elections. It's very busy stealing the elections, which is against our liberation war values. Very against it. So approaching the electoral courts to say, look, this is what is happening. This is the voters' roll that we used. Because already any result is contestable. Already any result is contestable. People can take the voters' roll to court. People can take this to court. But any result now is contestable, considering all these irregularities that have been unearthed and which are being documented. You see? So it means we might have a second round of this election on the 2nd of September, as stated by Mnangagwa himself. But the likelihood of going into that second election or a rerun, they are remote, because considering whatever Mnangagwa did with the ZANU PF now, it means the people of Zimbabwe have decided that they are not going to vote Emmerson Mnangagwa. It's simple. Even those in ZANU PF, they are saying vote ZANU PF candidates for member of parliament and the council, but never vote Emmerson Mnangagwa. Inside ZANU PF, vafana vari kutaurirana zvakasimba. Vari kuti endai kana muchienda kumarally musaregere kuenda. Endai, but muso kuvota zivai zvatiri kuda. We don't want Emmerson Mnangagwa. What they are hoping, ZANU PF, they are hoping that if these madalas go, ZANU PF will sit down and reorganize itself with the new blood, and they hope to bring 𝗘𝗹𝗲𝗰𝗁 as the first secretary of ZANU PF. So what they are doing now is they are urging ZANU PF, real ZANU PF or genuine ZANU PF supporters are urging ZANU PF supporters to vote for Nelson Chamisa, because what they want is to get rid of Madara. When these Madaras go, Bafana, they want to converge, reorganize ZANU PF, rejuvenate ZANU PF, and bring a better ZANU PF to contest elections, which will aim to make sure that the Chimrenga values are what are upheld. Because the current ZANU PF old Madalas, they can't uphold Chimrenga values, because they've run out of time. The only way to survive is through electoral fraud, which we are witnessing now. We are witnessing a completely clear electoral fraud, and they are using this electoral fraud. They are using the courts. Because recently, you know, the judges were given 500,000 US each as a loan from a government. I don't know when did the government start, because those people, they work for justice. If they were to get loans, probably these are supposed to be small loans from the Ministry of Justice, but not the government as a whole, to issue someone 500,000 as a loan. Someone who never applied for a loan. You understand? No, nobody applied for a loan. Government just woke up and said, okay, fine, Malawa, come, we've got your 500,000, your house and a car here. Right. What judgments do you expect from such a court? Obvious. That constitutional court will be biased, and whatever verdict they hand down in any election challenge, obvious, it's not a fair judgment. It's not a fair verdict, because the obvious, we know ZANU PF is fighting to manipulate the election result. They are abusing electorate right now, busing them from one point to another, threatening them that if you don't attend ZANU PF vigils every Wednesday, you need to pay a goat as fine. I don't know where this is coming from, and the government have never said anything against that. These are being spread everywhere on the social media and everywhere. People are being told that if you don't do this, we are going to do that. So this is voter fraud. This is voter fraud. This is a clear election rigging, which is notoriously being implemented by the people in the rural areas who are coercing or forcing the people to do that. And this has been prevalent throughout the country. We know in every election that the ZANU PF use these shenanigans to rig election, to steal election, which we call vote fraud. They are frauding our votes. We don't know for what reason, but people in Zimbabwe now, they often seem skeptical and naive about this fraud in every election. People are not like concerned about the fraud. People are not concerned about looking at whatever will be happening in every election. So what I'm encouraging the people of Zimbabwe now is, let's be vigilant, because this is probably your last chance. If you are 50, the next election will come at 55. If Mnangagwa is 86, the next election will come when you will be 91, and you will be useless. You cannot expect someone 86 years to deliver electoral promises to you, to create jobs for you. Baba wako chaiwe iwewe uri kutsvaga kuti wovachengeta sei at 86 years. Mudhara wako pamwe achatogone kana kufamba, akutofamba akotama akabata mudonzo. Madhara akutodzirwa nendoyi and at 86 years. But iwewe mwana mudiki akafanana neni or wafana kwandiri nini, mune courage to vote an 86-year-old man to be your president. What do you expect that he can do for you? This gentleman has been in parliament since independence. In 1980, how old were you? Some of you were not born in 1980. Already this man was a minister who was supposed to be delivering when he was walking on twos. Now he's walking on threes. And you expect that type of a person could deliver my electoral promises. He's going to better your economy. When the economy was collapsing, he was still a boy, a young man. Akapeta maoko akatarisa economy collapsing. At 86 now he's saying, I need to save that economy that he helped collapse. So you need to put your mind together. Rungekai maZimbabweans. Gaturungekei. Let's look at this objectively. That when in 1980 Mnangagwa was in parliament as Minister of State, heading the intelligence, and the economy was sound. The economy started collapsing from there. He presided over the economic, the collapse of Zimbabwe economy. Then he's coming now very old and useless, probably with the dementia, because all the videos that you have heard him here, they are the videos that you cannot tell that this man is of sound mind now. At his age, there are quite a lot of changes that happen to elder people. A lot of changes, ladies and gentlemen. Some changes that you might be aware of. Let me look at some of the changes. I was talking about the changes that you've noticed a lot in old people, especially if you look at their total body mass or their bodies. One, where as you get old, as you age, you deteriorate a lot. Your body will deteriorate a lot because there is decrease even to your body fat. My first child as you go old, so chona chembere ziri so skin because pazinge zakukura paipa, my body fats they decrease and more. There are quite a lot of changes anoitika per body yako munhu. Zvekuti even your mind shrinks. Ndakambotaurira manje kati, do you know the funniest organ on a human being is the brains? My brain yako. Because my brain cells, they die every day. They are irreplaceable. Brain cell yako yakangofa chete zvatopera, hapana anokwanisa kuigadzira kana kui. Because brain paunokura paipa dzinenge dzichimhanya nema cells ako. Dzinenge dzichigadzira ma cells ako. Saka as you grow, my body cells aya anenge achifa. My brain cells are the only cells in a human being that are irreplaceable. Kana afa. Saka you can tell that old age brings a lot of deterioration to a human body. Especially weight yako, you lose weight. Because mostly my body fats ako anopera. Ukatarisa kana kudya kwako chaiko kunochinja. Even blood flow yako your blood flow it reduces. Because kana uchiri mpano uchiri manya ropa rinenge as you age ropa rako rinenge rakutonetsa kana kusvika kumakumbo. Moyo wako unenge wakuneta kupomba ropa rako kuti risvike kana kumakumbo. Ndosaka uri kuona vazhinji vanenge vakuita madiseases akawanda nekuti even liver yako chaiyo inenge isichafunction the way it was functioning when you are young. Ndosaka vachiona vachiti kana ukaenda kuchipatara chaiko vandoredusa even mushonga unopuhwa munhu ane 30 years ane chirwere cheCOPD nemushonga unopuhwa munhu ane 80 years ane chirwere cheCOPD wakatosiyana. Dosage yacho vandoredusa because vandoziva kuti iwewe muviri wako cannot cope up with medication. saka they reduce medication nekuti wachembera. Uri kunzwa? Havacharambe vachiwedzera mapiritsi. Paipa vaikupa mapiritsi kuti inwa mapiritsi akati, havachakwanisi kuramba vachikupa hobho mapiritsi. Because pane a lot of changes to your body that happens as you age. Even makidneys ako chaiyo anenge aneta kuti achigeza ropa sekugeza ropa kwaaita uchiri mwana mudiki hazvichaiti, zvinenge zvanetsa. A lot of things happens, guys. A lot of changes happen when you are aging. Saka sometimes ukanzwa tichitaura kuti vanhu vakura vane ma86 years, you cannot vote him as president because we know what we are saying. Brain chaidzo dzaneta idzi, mabrain cells hobho akafa. Ndosaka achiti akamira pamberi pevanhu anoumana kuita kunge munhu ane dementia. Andimona ukaona type dzakadaro, ndosaka uchiona izvezvi vanofamba vakaiswa makatheta because they can no longer control like incontinent anyway. They can no longer control themselves. Mungamba mapiritsi akawanda dzimwe nguva muzvitozviona muzvipatara anofane constipation chaivo, munenge makuita matuzve kukoromora kudai nezvigunwe kuburisa asi akwanise kupusha tsvina chaiyo. Ndo age dzana munangako. Saka I don't know kuti vanhu vakadaro munenge muchitati aite president, momutati aite president for what reason? What do you expect him to do for you? Because they are concerned about health yake chaiyo. Are concerned about health yake. Ndosaka wachiona even kana akufamba kana akaiswa catheter ndekuti haachakwanisi kucontrola kana weight chaiyo. Haachakwanisi kuzvicontrola, inogona kuve ishingobuda. Hamusati mamboona chembere dzifamba murodhi dzakatota, haatombocheuka kuti akatota here because he doesn't feel it. He doesn't feel it. Andimona. Saka iyo urological problems anenge akukwirawo, constipation inenge akukwirawo. Ndipo unenge wakuona akufamba nemurwi wemadoctors. Look at what Mugabe used to do. Mugabe aifamba nechipatara baba. Kuseri kunenge kwakazara ambulance nemapamba. Ekuti vakanzwa kuti pana pamudhara anenge akunhuwa mbichana, vanenge vakuti mudhara iburuka pastage. Grace aitonyora tsamba, akanzwa kuti mudhara akuzvimamira, otonyora tsamba kuti zvakwana wataurisa, kuti aone kubva pastage aende kunobviswa pamba uko, kuti aende kunoempta bhegire wetu. Kuti vakura vachembera, vakura vanhu havachembera. Vene vari kukwara nawo zvema, vakura vachembera. Andimona zvekuti kana yeah, it's definitely punishing him. Even if you see kuti he cannot do 2 rallies a day, he can't. Because if you try to make him do 2 rallies, you are punishing him. He cannot travel from one place to another. Anenge akutorara kandi weti inenge yatozara akutomboemptwa akutombopisikwa and so forth. Zvakawanda, pane machanges akawanda anoitika guys kana uchinge wakura. Saka those changes we must take note of them when we are considering a candidate to be president in our country. Aisi mhosva guys, aisi mhosva yekuti tine ma-elections, aisi mhosva yekuti vakarwa hondo, aisi mhosva yekuti anofanira kufa achitonga. Because he is no longer capable. He is no longer of sound mind. Saka when he is no longer capable, when he is no longer of sound mind, voting him to be a president at 86 or 80 plus, that's punishment. We are punishing his body. We are punishing his brains. And you wonder kuti ZANU PF vanenge vasingazvioni here zvatiri kuita. Ndakambotaura last time ndikati no, president's office or executive office inofanira kuve ne a ceiling yekuti ukasvika so many years you cannot contest as a president. I don't know why people failed to put it in 2013 constitution that from 80 years and above no one must be allowed to contest as a president. And I think we must start to make noise about it to make sure that the constitution is amended and that section is inserted in our constitution that after 80 years you must never be allowed to contest as a president in any election. Because look at what happened in 2008 when we went to second round of election. Mugabe was never in control. He was never in control. And these youth, these people we talk about today, they were marauding. Mugabe had lost control of the party, had lost control of the youth. Chaka makanzwa Mnangagwa achitaura ndakanotaura kuti president amungadyiwe, prepare kuita sei kuannounce a government. Iye achiziva kuti adyiwa ne-73%. He was even surprised. He even said it, that when I was told to prepare to announce a government, I was surprised. Because Changira had garnered 73%. I don't know how it happened. Because he had lost the control of everything. So electoral fraud will make sure that an incompetent leader is thrust on the seat. No. These are people with opportunity to do corruption. They know that if we do any sort of corruption, no one can stop us. Mnangagwa's... sorry guys, I'm not going to answer this. I'll answer it. So these are things that we must consider as Zimbabweans. That for them to win, they need to manipulate elections. They need to abuse the people of Zimbabwe. They need to abuse the electoral rule. This is the only way these people can win election. They need to do election rigging. They are specialists in election fraud. This is why you see before any election, they deploy the FAS, they deploy the CIOs, they deploy their violent mercenaries youth to go and attack people. When they attack people, then they say, we've won an election. And the Hakuna election inoitwa zvakadaro. If you look at today, I received a lot of information about the conduct of election. My prison officers, like what I said last time, guys, munofa makadaro. My police officers, mchafa makadaro, guys. I am telling you. Because news zandawana this afternoon, news zekuti vari kwakatorwa vafana kuprison, kukatorwa vafana vakabva kupolice, kukatorwa vafana vakabva kuarmy. Just click on button. Kukatorwa, no, I'm logged I'm logged on relogged by computer, saka I'm answering wasn't relogged by computer. Saka you find kune kwatorwa ma prison officers, kwatorwa ma police officers, kwatorwa ma soldier, vari kupuwa police uniform now. Today they've been taken today. Vaida kunotrainwa riot kusupport. Vari kutrainwa riot, vapuwa police uniform. My prison officers are now involved. Police officers are now involved. And the army are now involved. They've been taken. Vari a riot. They are anticipating noise after this election. Because they are planning to manipulate the results of the election. And they are going to unleash these people to cause mayhem or to attack the protesters. Because they know people are going to protest. People are not going to leave it like that. And the man's up, ZANU PF chayo kwete kutitwe triple C. ZANU PF vati, if this election is stolen or is the results are manipulated, chakutanga chimurenga. Vari muzanu PF chayo. Vati takutanga noise yacho. Takutopinda muroad hatisi kuburuka. Saka ZANU PF in respond of that threat, ndakanzwa mupana Jimmy Kunaka achitaura. But inini I don't like Jimmy Kunaka. To be honest with you, I've never liked that boy. But he was talking that ZANU PF youth are ready. They're saying ZANU PF youth are ready. They are going to demonstrate against Emmerson Mnangagwa theft of election. If that happens, that means there will be instability in our country. He said, apana kusiri kufa. If they want to kill, they must kill us all. This is why you see ZANU PF, in response of that, they have recruited prison officers, they have recruited police officers, they have recruited army soldiers from the army to go and train in riot so that they can cause mayhem during this election. Saka hanzi vari kupromiswa $90, $90 per day. Mari ichange iri ku interbank, inenge ichipuwa ne interbank rate. They are going to be given this money for 3 weeks. That is 2 weeks before election. They will be deployed election day, and 1 week after election day. So they will be working for $90 every day. That means how much are they expecting? They're expecting, if you say $90 times 21 days, they're expecting about 1,000. They will be given 1,800 for 3 weeks. They'll be given 1,800 because they are going to work. Is it so? Sorry guys. 90 times 21 0 9, right? 0 this way. Teacher we made sort of mates baba. That is 0 18 1,800 0 9 8 1,890. So they are expecting to be given $2,000 for 3 weeks. And the true you the Ogambona resonate when a moon one. It is afraid of elections. You use it to hide. Yes, he used to hide behind COVID. 1,890 things I did, and I wrote the medicine in Andakura. To the next hour, my brain cells. Imagine the medicine yakapusa udaiso ndichiri 50 kupandoshika 8 years 30 years to come ndenge nda brain dead ka mukona makanganwira andoita zvinezvi ndikakanganwa chindu phone yangu ndaisa pa ndogona kuenda kwandiri kuenda ndisina phone andimona nyaya nduta saka vari kunzi iwo vatorwa ku prison vatorwa ku police vatorwa ku army vari kutrainwa riot. They've been promised $90 per week. Interbank rate, they are going to be paid for 3 weeks. For 3 weeks, that means 2 weeks before the election and a week after the election. Police, they are all being given police uniforms. And on. Saka ndopane nyaya guys. Kuti Mnangagwa is preparing for violence. Because these people are not police officers. Probably the rest are prison officers and the army officers. So they've been taken to for training. Kuti mire pama elections panaba vachi defenders ZANU PF. This is another way this is an electoral fraud as well. This is an electoral fraud. Because you are vachaita postal voting. No one vachaita postal voting. They are not going to vote because vanenge vachimena these elections vakapfeka zvimangonjoro zvakapfeka machemba mumusoro. So we need to be vigilant, ladies and gentlemen. We need to be vigilant because in by election fraud, if you talk about election fraud or election rigging, I'm one of the whistleblowers. Right. And the video that I made in 2008, it's still showing on YouTube, still showing on Guardian newspaper. This video was shown worldwide. Apana nyika ya unoenda pasi panapa isina kuona video ya Mugabe ma elections achibiwa ne vanhu. Apana. Zvekuti ukaenda pa online ukaverenga ma comments ari kunyorwa nevamwe vanhu kune dzimwe nyika. Ndakaseka mu Nigeria na indi tanzi what do you expect for a prison officer ngasagona kuchengeta vana vake obviously aitobvuma kushandiswa. Ndakazomupindura ngati no. Andatanga kusupporta MDC nenyaya yekuti nekuti nasikaore mari yaikwana. Remember patakatanga kusapurana MDC 1999 taitenga tichidya zvatinoda. Taitenga ndo mazuva DRC changotanga. Honde DRC yanga yatanga kuma 1998 and ndo papatanga honde kuna Congo. Taiora mari tichidya mari yatoda pa. But I supported the MDC. And pandakaona kuti zvanyanya my elections tungobirwa tikazvifumura. That I became a whistleblower, and I've conducted that video ndega ndikaratidza the whole world kuti this is how elections are rigged in Zimbabwe. That I became an enemy of ZANU PF to the extent that ukaona vachitaura vachinyora hanzi you are a sellout. Ndakazodza mumwe ndikati inini I've never sold out anything because I've never been part of ZANU PF. Zvafana kuti dai ndiri munhu weZANU ndiri ndini ndiri kurongawo nevanhu vezanu ngatibei maelection akati ndobva ndatenda kumashure ndobva ndaburitsa zvatakaronga zvacho, then you are a sellout because makaronga zvinhu zvimese, maronga zvinhu zvimese wakupandukira umwe wako wakuzviburitsa ndo zviri kuitwa panapa, unenge uri sellout. I've never been part of ZANU PF. I've never planned nezanu kuba my elections. Inini what I just did is I was not happy with my vote being stolen by ZANU PF, and I exposed it. And so I was not a political, I was not an insider in ZANU PF. If you are a political insider, yes, you are a sellout. And then I was just a whistleblower, someone who showed the world that, look, you are saying Mugabe won this election. This is how he stole the election. And we still have a lot of people who are willing to expose ZANU PF election rigging. Any other means, ukaona ma messages and receive on daily basis. Evakomana vari ready, vakazvipira kuti mndara Yuda titsvagire equipment to expose this zviruda kuitwa izvo. Vakomana they are ready for that. And I 100% assure you, we are going to see something how this election will be stolen. Andimona nyaya tukutaura. Saka ndiri kutaura ndichiti the way elections are stolen, especially if we do go to postal ballots, it is a myth in our country. It is a myth in our country. Nobody really understands how it is done. But vanhu vari kuma-foreign kuti how do they do? Saka muchachitaura kuti Mnangagwa will never win an election because all those foreign diplomats and so forth, they vote for ZANU PF. But if you count how many votes Mnangagwa will claim to have won the election, he should be winning by a margin because all the soldiers who vote for him, the police who vote for him, the prison officers, all the diplomats who vote for ZANU PF, before CCC or MDC get one vote. But at the end of the election, you see Mnangagwa struggling to win that election. Imagine, these people who are forced, who are coerced, those in diplomats and so forth. If they were not voting those people, what percentage would Mnangagwa get, or what percentage would ZANU PF get? This is why we tell you that ZANU PF will never win in any free and fair election in our country. Simple. Ukada kuita statistics dzacho idzodzo ndopaunona ZANU PF haina chainowina. Havana chavanoziva and havana chavanowina. They cannot convince you. As we are now Zimbabwean citizens, there is nothing that ZANU PF can convince a citizen in Zimbabwe to vote ZANU. Nothing. Nothing. Apana, ndikada kubvunza. It's only this public service vanachitaura vari kumanikidzwa kudaro. Vanenge vachinzi ukasaita tokudzinga basa, ukasadai tinokuuraya. Ndo vari kupuwa ma-envelopes ekunzi vhura apa tone makatakatarisa. Makatakatarisa. Saka tiri kutaura tichiti izvo zvana postal must be removed from the real ballot. It must be removed. Zvana postal voting, I don't think because zvezvino encourage kuti even counterfeit ballot, they are like put inside there and resealed. When wachita postal vote, azvina ma-election observers, azvina ma-election agents vanozviongorora kuti zviri kufamba sei. Zvinongoya zvinzi iri box irabva kwakati vhurai tizive kuti vakanovhota iko kwacho ndavanani. Hanzi chinogonekwa i-violence. Yeah, chavanogona chete is just violence. That's just violence. Because as ZANU PF is as good as garbage now. It needs just to be thrown into a bin and taken to the dump yard. Zvatopera zvezvo. Because apana pamuchaona ZANU PF ichiti yawina election zviri fair and fair. Kana vachiti vanowina election zviri fair and fair, they must stop this fraud. They must stop targeting these public services, servants. They must stop targeting elderly people in the rural areas, intimidating them. Kuti ukarega kudai uchabhadhara mbudzi. So we now believe, if you look at the 𝗧𝘄𝗲𝗰𝘁𝗁, the shambolic nature in it, that all those deceased people are voting. Inactive people who are outside Zimbabwe, who have not been in Zimbabwe for quite some time, are still voting. And who marks their ballot papers? These are the FARs, these are the police, these are the youth. And Saka, there is a serious electoral fraud in our country that makes this election, which is coming now, undemocratic. It is undemocratic. Because true funds are my street kids, those people who are homeless, vasina ma-shelters, vasina register kuvota, vari muZimbabwe, vanoitiswa basa rei. Obvious, ndo vachaenda vazhinji vanongotorwa vanoswa kuPGHQ kunzi ma-ballot papers are, because kunoprindwa ma-ballot papers hapana anokuziva. Opposition is not allowed there. And opposition is not allowed to know how many ballot papers are printed for this election. Opposition is not allowed to know where are these ballot papers kept. Opposition is not allowed to know how these ballot papers are transported from one point to another. So that means kunogona kuya mabhuku 2 kana mabhuku 3 ari kunzi aya mabhuku ngaende constituency. Kozouya rimwe extra book achazomakwa nema-street kids kana nemasoja. Because hazvisi accountable. Nobody really understand, nobody really know. Ma-ballot papers are printwa kupi. People apply to go and see them being printed. ZANU PF ikaramba. Aprindwa anotorwa anochengetwa kupi. ZANU PF yakaramba kuti vanhu vaende unoona kwaanochengetwa. Need the way they are distributed. Kuti achadistributwa sei. Because with the duplicated voters, varukushandisa same number. Obviously, there are duplicates of these ballot papers, which will facilitate electoral fraud. Saka tikutaura tichiti, the whole democratic process is not transparent. So we don't call it a democratic election. It is just a one-part state election. Muvanhu varungoisa election yavo obva vati tawina. Kana vati tawina zvatopera, vakutoisa organization yavanoda. Saka this system, guys, it needs a lot of whistleblowers. We need to know what is happening. Kana pachinzi pane ma-extra ballot boxes, ballot papers akaprindwa, we need to know them. So we need people to sacrifice their lives to say, look, I sacrificed mine in 2018. By now I could be dead. Ndakabatwa ndakafa. Saka ndiri kutaura nchiti toda more people who can sacrifice their lives. Vanoita expose this voter fraud. Because these are schemes which were assembled by ZANU PF and reassembled. Every election we see these shenanigans, which must be eliminated from a democratic society. Now we talk of campaigns. Our campaigns, ma-campaigns ya 𝗃𝗃𝗃. Ukanatasa vachamisa, how many campaign rallies was he allowed to hold? Out of 80-something campaign rallies, he was just allowed about 4. The rest were bad. The rest were bad. Because by campaigning, he's selling his policies. I think they've, like what I told you yesterday, that if you listen to Chamisa and listen to Mnangagwa, you can tell who is a statesman, an address to the people that will move Zimbabwe forward in the end. ZANU PF, so far, has got nothing to promise. And the Atina manifesto, because our work is manifesto. I'm telling you, ZANU PF are seen anything to promise. I've seen a manifesto. They are going into this election without a manifesto, with no promises, because they failed. They are saying our work is our manifesto. So you cannot go into an election without an idea. True, you 𝗘𝗹𝗲𝗰𝗁 TV, they are not giving any chances at ZBC. Exactly. But even if they go on ZBC, ZANU PF has got nothing to say to the people. We know they control the ZBC. They control the ZTV. They go there on daily basis. Listen to Mnangagwa's promises, addresses. They don't mean anything to a suffering and struggling country. People are not going, the country is not going to harvest any, ZANU PF is not going to harvest any voters by Mnangagwa's addresses, no. This is why you see they talk about stuffing the ballots, they to manipulate votes, they want to use violence and so forth. Not because Mnangagwa is saying something that people would be nudged to vote ZANU PF. He totally has said nothing so far. If he listen to all his, he can't be a presidential candidate. He can't be a presidential candidate. I've noted it. I think all of you have noted it. You cannot deny this. ZANU PF can't deny this. That so far ZANU PF has got no leader. Their leader has kept them in dark. They don't know. Imagine if there was no Nando's. Chicken in nechingwa nedrink ravari kupa vanhu vanhu vaenda unoitei. Look at the numbers where Chamisa goes. Look at the numbers where Chamisa goes. Chamisa can go to Marondera today. Rudaka will be filled to capacity. Chamisa can go to Rusape. The stadium in Rusape will be filled to capacity. He can go to Mtare. Sakuva will be filled to capacity. Those people are not coerced. Those people are not given chicken in. They are not given chingwa. They are not given even a drink. But they just go there to listen to their president. This will tell you who is a winner of the election. Zvinotongokudza zvega kuti winner we-election ndiani. Ari kukudaidzai kuti haimutore chingwa. Neari kukudaidzai kuti come and hear wisdom. Go vote for me. Unoona anochi winner election ndiani. Because we've got voters who are attending rallies unsolicited. Then we have got voters who are being coerced, who are being forced into buses. I played this audio, ladies and gentlemen. Ungamaidzwa audio yanaichiplaya panapa. Ameno chakuitika. Anamkoma John Jones, Honorable Jones. 𝗬𝗲𝗰𝗁 will never do that. He has never won an election in his whole life. He just survived on being appointed. And worse still, he came together with Mkanya Chiwenga, who has never won anything in life, who has just survived on being appointed and appointed and appointed. Munhu anongoramba achingoappointwa. Saka you find when it comes to justifying electoral fraud, because they really know that their administration has got no leader, and Mnangagwa cannot sell ZANU PF policies. This is why they are going into this election without a manifesto. Havana manifesto. Havana manifesto. Ndinoda kutokutaurirai kuti ZANU PF haina manifesto. Vane magroups ukaenda kukwekwe kune inonzi Boko Haram yekukwekwe kana kuti 𝗬𝘃𝗲𝗏 yekukwekwe. It's just like that 𝗬𝘃𝗲𝗏 in Mozambique and in Somalia. They go around with machetes, macheting people who are attending rallies, killing people. We saw Mboneni Ncube being murdered, daylight murder, by machete-wielding individuals. And they've been confirmed that they belong to ZANU PF. They have been domiciled or provided accommodation by Muda Ncube. And this is a terrorist group within ZANU PF that has macheted people. The reason why we are saying international organizations must be involved, Africa Union must be involved, AU, then we talk of SADC must be involved, United Nations must be involved. These terrorist organizations must be critically condemned because they do it in the daylight, not usiku. Vanouya masikati makamira muchiti ndizvo ngapinda hake mukomana wakamira wakadai hausi kuziva kuseri kwako kuti chichiriko demurobva ranzi ngotsi wafira kusimudza chigunwe. And the world has waged war against terrorism. We have got a president who is running an 𝗬𝘃𝗲𝗏 group in Kwekwe. We've got a president who goes to Russia to support terrorism against the people of Ukraine. But this world has launched war against terrorism. I don't know why these international or these other countries which form United Nations, I don't know why they don't just tag the ZANU PF a terrorist organization. I say to them, if you want to see that Zimbabweans can take act, just tag them as terrorist organization. ZANU PF haitonge nyika mangwana. Ikangonzi nhasi UN kutaura kuti these are terrorists, by tomorrow ZANU PF will be gone. Both Zimbabweans will be empowered to fight it. Zvandai kutaura ndikati, guys, be very careful that civil war might be imminent. It's because of this. Because of this, ZANU PF terrorist groups must be defeated. And to defeat them, we need to fight them. Because we cannot continue watching our relatives being brutalized, being butchered, being forced. On my bus, you see buses are getting involved in an accident every day. People going to rallies, buses, my bus are somersault, killing people, getting involved in an accident. Takuenda ku election, you see that Mnangagwa is using the youth to brutalize the same people who die whilst we are campaigning. The ZANU PF cars have overturned in various places. Helicopters bought kutatakure victims of that, but not even one person watakaona so far ashitakurwa ne helicopter. Saka what I'm urging the people of Zimbabwe, we need to come out in numbers. Our turnout must be spot on for ZANU PF to go. Because this is a presidential election. We can't afford to lose this election. We can't afford to lose this election. Whatever you are witnessing today, if you put your X there, that means the system will go. So what we need is a good turnout. That at least if we have got 98 or 99% of voters turning out to vote, Mnangagwa will go. He will definitely go. Because Mugabe taimbofunga is a military dictator, but now we have seen that with the backing of the military, Mnangagwa has become the worst military dictator. So there must be a citizen victory. And that victory can come by us telling our relatives, telling our family units to go vote in our thousands. turnout must be 98 or 99% so that we know Mnangagwa is gone. The insurgents leader against Mugabe is gone. And a man who promised to end corruption in our country and went on to reintroduce the worst corruption in the history of the country, he must go. People must vote CCC. Zimbabweans must vote Nelson Chamisa. We want to see corruption go. We want to see this banditry go. We want to see this terrorism against the people of Zimbabwe go. I have always been suspicious about this Mnangagwa. When he came to power, people had given him a benefit of doubt, and people were saying, why can't we give him chance? Even the British supported him. They said, let's give him chance. Little known that they were supporting a terrorist. I think today, with all the debates that have been done in the Westminster, the British are regretting for having supported a terrorist. Someone who goes to Russia and say, we support Russia invasion of Ukraine. He doesn't care about the human rights abuses by the Russians there. People being bombed, dams bombed, infrastructure bombed, children bombed, hospitals bombed. He doesn't care. Instead, he goes to Russia and says he's supporting all these bombs, all this bombing of Ukraine. I think the British now are regretting for supporting Emmerson Mnangagwa. We saw the British ambassador in Zimbabwe in 2018, Katrina Lang. She was wearing a Zimbabwe flag, ZANU PF symbol for victory, and went to 10 Downing Street to talk to Boris to say, look, we need to support ZANU PF. We need to support Emmerson Mnangagwa's ascendance. Katrina Lang he must be shouting at himself. He must be condemning herself for allowing the British to support a terrorist organization known as ZANU PF that is openly campaigned for Russia invasion in Ukraine. No sane person can support what Russia is doing in Ukraine. Bombing children, bombing hospitals, bombing bridges, bombing infrastructure, destroying Ukraine with the heavy artillery. And someone go and say he supported that terrorist movement. So, and that someone was a presidential candidate in 2018 and was supported by the Western people. The British supported him. The Americans supported him. Today, he's still the presidential candidate who has failed to achieve what he had promised the British and the Americans. And is now resorted to go to Russia. I don't know what has been promised. 4 months supply of grain by Russia. And the supply of weapons by Russia. And is now condemned the people of Zimbabwe to say they support it. He must have said that ZANU PF support the military campaign of Russia in Ukraine, not to say Zimbabwe. But when you say Zimbabwe, you are including me. I'm not agreeing with you, Emmerson Mnangagwa. I don't agree with you at all. And the thousands and millions of Zimbabweans do not agree with you. Only ZANU PF can agree. The ZANU PF people and activists, officials can agree with you. Not any sane person. Because those ZANU PF people, you don't think, those are not sane people. They are not people who can reason. They don't reason, those people. How can you support a terrorist organization that is waged war against innocent people? Imagine, in Ukraine, there are people who never knew of this war, how this war was coming. This drinking their tea, they can hear the bombs raining in their city, the city being bombed. You get out, electricity is no longer there. Running water in the taps no longer there. Shops are bombed. You go there, you can't buy food. People, they are not all Ukrainians involved in governing. But all Ukrainians now are suffering because of Russia. Why can't it consider other people's fate? And a lunatic from Zimbabwe goes there and say, I am supporting this invasion of Ukraine. I'm disassociating myself from that statement. I am a Zimbabwean, but I don't support Russia invasion of Ukraine. No. No. Trying to put Zimbabwe as the most popular nation. Other countries are quiet. South Africa went there, tried to negotiate with Putin to see sense. Why Putin? Why can't he simply pull out of there? This is why you see Putin no longer now travels to South Africa for BRICS summit. Because South Africans really told him that we cannot protect you. And I was laughing with my friend yesterday. I said, do you know that with a 303 rifle, a .303 rifle, or a 303 rifle, with a very big bullet, chibara 303 chakakura kudai, with a good microscope, from 2 kilometers, Putin can be taken down in South Africa. I was telling my friend this. I said, a 303 rifle with a very good telescope, from a distance of 2 kilometers, you can take Putin down. So akapinda South Africa, if South Africans wakada kumuuraya Putin, they can easily kill him. Because he might wear a bulletproof, but his head is not bulletproof. He doesn't wear a bulletproof musoro. Look at it. Ma-Africans aka kusangoda hawo kuita musikanzo. Isusu ana Yuda kusangoda hedu kuita musikanzo. Daida musikanzo enini. By now ngada ndichiverenga kuti I took down Ningi. Because with a very good microscope, at 2 kilometers, I can take you down. 2,000 meters, churches. Ndokutora, ndokurumura. Ndokuwisa, ayona zombokumisa, ndokuwisa. With a telescope, ndokuwisa. Chiputi yeje msachidere, chi 303 yeje mkoke chache. So baje. Woloka. At 2,000 meters. Whilst Putin is busy, achimhoresa vanhu kuti achichi ari muSouth Africa meme ndiri mudenga 2 kilometers. Ndakakutora mushe netelescope. Unongozwa cricket. You go. But Zimbabweans were a peaceful country, a peaceful nation, a peaceful people. If you look at South Africans, they are capable of doing it. I think this is why Zuma had to rush to Russia and warn Putin that we won't be able to provide you 90% protection if you travel to South Africa. And that coward said he cancelled, he's no longer coming to South Africa. He knows he will bite the dust or he will kick the bucket anyway. So, Zimbabweans all over the world, they expressed a frustration about the statement that Emmerson Mnangagwa issued in Russia. And we expressed frustration again on how our election preparations are done and how the election is gonna be conducted. There is too much interference from the state apparatus, from the army, the security, the intelligence, the prison, and the police. Too much interference with the electoral system. And this defeat the idea that Zimbabwe is holding a free and fair election. Ladies and gentlemen, we have witnessed people being kidnapped. We have witnessed people being abducted. We have witnessed people being killed. We have got loads of people who died because they want a free and fair election. They want to participate in a democratic election. And the ZANU PF has attempted to stop them, to say, look, because you are going to vote opposition, you must not take part in our election. So this is like what I was saying last time. Why can't the ZANU PF simply declare one-party state? Then don't waste our money preparing for elections that you don't want. You don't want to be contested, but you want to hold an election. What is that election for? If you don't want to be contested, that means by continuing to utilize our army to brutalize our people, you are undermining our army's attempts to protect the nation. Because our army must have a duty to protect the country against any foreign invasion, against any insurgents. But now our army is working like an insurgent. It's like uprising against the citizens of a country. That only will bring about a catastrophic situation, or the return to misgovernance, or the return to brutality, or the return to a civil war. I am scared to say that. I am sorry to say that, ladies and gentlemen, that this type of dictatorship we have witnessed in the past 6 years, it's like gaslighting a civil war. It's like an initiation of civil war. And then move on. Because while these people, while Mnangagwa and ZANU PF promise peace, promise liberty, indicating right, he turns left. I don't think, what I think is he is trying to, he thinks that the 80s or 70s politics are still in play. He doesn't know that we are in a digital era, where even if you indicate, whenever my traffic lights, today's traffic lights, if you are indicating right, but if you turn left, Panama cameras are unovotorwa ticket pa. There and there, ticket. Because your indicator is showing you are turning right, but you have turned right, jeopardizing other road users. Saka tikutaura tichiti Mnangagwa, whatever he is doing, promising peace in a country, whilst in the dark send people to brutalize innocent civilians. There are cameras there watching you, and the people have never stopped filming. Every Zimbabwean now is a journalist. Kana one smartphone chete, you are a journalist. Unengo shitongotora ipapo. Utokanda pa social media takutoona ZANU PF, hey, hakuna munhu ari kumaningizo kuenda kumarari. Video bayanzi kovo. Urunzi hapana ari kusara. Kasara you need to explain. Hey, hapana numangizo wadi po bakandwa audio kovo. Munhu ari kuadresa vanhu ukarega kuuya panapa kuzomakwa zita vo ZANU uchabhadhariswa mbudzi. So social media has brought Emmerson Mnangagwa and ZANU PF down. All their electoral fraud shenanigans are exposed. Hapana chiri kusara. Saka tikutaura, let's continue. We've got an opportunity to expose everything. Let's continue to expose this. And let's just put them on a tight corner like what we've done. Now Mnangagwa asina chekutaura. Asina chekutaura. Akambocreate wana aushababu akacreate wanana akacreate this and that. Zvese zvaparara akusina kwaari kuenda. And he's just trying now to foment a civil war. And the Zimbabweans has resisted a civil war time and again. But now, you know, vanhu kava vanorwadziwa, vanosvika pakuneta. This election fraud, you know, vanhu vanosvika pakuneta kuti enough is enough, kusiri kufa ndekupi. Like what you heard from former ZANU PF violent king of violence Jimmy kuna kaitaura kuti guys hapana kusiri kufa. If it means we die, let's die. And this is why uri kuona kumhanya manje kunotsvaga tons and tons of weapons into Zimbabwe, trying to bring them there and try to fight the citizens of a country. Hakuna president akadaro kuti vana vari kuchema nenzara, varoda mishonga, varoda mvura yakachena yekunwa, uri kunotenga futi. What for? So the fact that millions of Zimbabwe have suffered, millions have died under ZANU PF dictatorship, then it is a fact that Zimbabweans now want to put a full stop to this terrorist movement you call ZANU PF. And this is a foreign policy for every nation. If Americans are involved, Chamisa is the puppet of America, akanokumbira ma-sanctions. If Chamisa can go to America and influence American foreign policy, he is probably the most powerful leader in the world. Americans are not easy people to convince when it comes to their foreign policy. When they put their foreign policy there, it's their foreign policy. Whoever comes in as president will never change that until the goals are attained. Uchaona kuti tikaita ma-elections in Zimbabwe, President Chamisa vakatadza kuimplementa democracy in that country, these sanctions will remain there. They won't be removed. Because it's a foreign policy America. Saka, it's just propaganda by ZANU PF. Chamisa kakumbira ma-sanctions. No. Chamisa cannot influence America's foreign policy. Even if Chamisa is voted into power, into office, if he does not implement democracy to get these sanctions removed, he will be added to the list of sanctions. Believe me. Because it's an American foreign policy. America's foreign policy is to ensure that all terrorist regimes or movements are destroyed. One of the terrorist movements in our country is ZANU PF. It's no secret that ZANU PF must be destroyed. If they need to save their organization, then the youth in ZANU PF must take over ZANU PF and reorganize it, revisit the Chimurenga values, and try to implement what made our parents and our fathers and mothers go and fight the Smith regime. Because what we are witnessing today, this is why we see the brutality we suffered under Smith and the brutality we suffered under ZANU PF. Comparing the two brutalities, Smith was far, far much better. Smith is a saint. Comparing the brutality we have suffered under Smith and the brutality we are suffering under ZANU PF. ZANU PF has betrayed the masses, has betrayed the citizens of Zimbabwe. This is why you see now they have got this I don't care attitude. They don't consult. They just fly to Russia and support terrorism in Russia. They just fly to Russia and try to solicit for funding against citizens of a country. They are trying to terrorize us, buying weapons, buying this. Zimbabweans do not need weapons. They need working health system. They need working education system. They need properly built structure. If you look at how Harare was, Salisbury was in 1975 to 1979, or up to now, how Salisbury was along Samora Machel. If you go there today, the only change you can see is just the Reserve Bank of Zimbabwe. Everything which is there was built by the British around the 70s. There is no change. Probably the Karigamombe building and the Reserve Bank along Samora Machel. What Salisbury was like in 1975 is what Salisbury is like today, with no proper infrastructural changes. But see how much the people of Zimbabwe suffered under this terrorist regime. ZANU PF betrayed the will of Zimbabweans who went to fight to say we want independence in our country. This is why you see now they've got nothing to offer. What they can only do is continue to do these electoral fraud shenanigans for the past 40 years. Those who grew up in Zimbabwe, who were there during independence, who are still there now, reflect for the past 43 years. You can tell how ZANU PF betrayed the people of the country. ZANU PF involved in the mass murder of Zimbabweans. You can tell. Because why? ZANU PF is a Marxist organization. It's a terrorist organization that has betrayed a country which was growing very well, being built by the British. So being a terrorist organization, a Marxist organization, ZANU PF is a terrorist organization. That's the legacy of ZANU PF. For over 43 years. This is the country I grew up in. Zimbabwe was betrayed when we accepted communists and we become mass murderers, killing the 𝗘𝗹𝗲𝗰𝗁𝗂𝗍𝗍, killing innocent civilians, killing voters under Mugabe, now under Emmerson Mnangagwa. So I conclude that Zimbabwe is under a Marxist ZANU PF terrorist organization that must be destroyed. It must be destroyed. It has to be destroyed. What is surprising is Emmerson Mnangagwa himself was propelled. Emmerson Mnangagwa was propelled by the British into but people should be seeing that I'm live on Facebook. I don't know why people can't see it. I don't know why people can't see it. As I do school naked, guys, couldn't be live on Facebook. Adumumbonzo amdara changira 𝗘𝗍𝗲𝗂𝗏. Ndisati ndauya kuzopedzisa mirai ndite ambokusiyirai mudhara changira 𝗘𝗍𝗲𝗂𝗏.
Report here. England had no interest in coming to England. He can keep his England and let me keep my Zimbabwe. So let them keep out of our country what they want here. In MDC, it's treasonous. Kuramba muchibatsira ma-British.
Morgan Tsvangirai clearly put Zimbabwe's economic and social demise squarely on Mugabe's door.
As a country, we face a generational transition. Vana vesa vari below 35, they are crying out for help. The country is in a mess. Arusuru, we know we are inheriting a mess. We know this country has been left with nothing.
The health delivery system had collapsed. Zimbabwe's government hospitals had not been working properly for over 5 years, and in 2008 they had reached breaking point. Doctors told me patients could not even get the basic medicines like painkillers. The education system, which was once the envy of the African continent, had collapsed with teachers not turning up for work.
No, the infrastructure has been dilapidated to such levels that sometimes you teach children who are standing or they write whilst kneeling down.
transport to work was costing them more money than they were earning from their government salaries. Classrooms were now empty, and students were desperate. The absent teachers joined the more than 90% of unemployed Zimbabweans roaming the streets and spending time in long bank queues trying to get the little money they might have saved. Meanwhile, money printing machines at the central bank had no rest. They continued churning out useless Zimbabwe dollars. The central bank then exchanged the useless Zimbabwe currency for the American dollar on the black market. Most of the American dollars were coming from Zimbabweans in the diaspora who had escaped the biting economic meltdown in their country. Meanwhile, the Zimbabwean dollars couldn't buy anything because shop shelves were empty. Price controls imposed by the Zimbabwean government to tame the runaway inflation backfired as shop owners simply stopped trading to avoid running losses.
Right. Just to play this video. Kuti vanhu vanzwe vaone kuti Robert Mugabe and ZANU PF, the Marxist terrorists in our country, have run down the country. Considering what you have heard from this video, you can tell that no sane Zimbabwean can still vote for these terrorists to say they must be voted back in power. These people are remembered for destroying a country that was developing. And both these leaders, Mugabe and Mnangagwa, they were propelled into power by the British government, the conservative part. So this is probably in violation again of our constitution. As we continue to suffer, I feel like we were betrayed by the British. I don't want to lie, because I was surprised to see British ambassador in Zimbabwe, Katrina Lang, attending ZANU PF rallies, wearing ZANU PF scarf, going to 10 Downing Street to try and talk to Boris to support ZANU PF, giving Mnangagwa a chance. I feel like we were betrayed as Zimbabweans. We were betrayed. If Robert Mugabe was very bad, the British were not supposed to have supported the ascendance of Mnangagwa through coup. They betrayed the people of Zimbabwe. And I feel like we have been betrayed. We are in this country in England as refugees. To be honest with you, nobody wants to be in this country. This country, Britain, the weather is not favorable. Weather is not good. The British weather is not good for this skin. Skin is not dark. It's brown. Inoda zuva is skinny. Inoda zuva. Aidi snow. Ukabuda panza apa kuchisnow kana kwapera kusnow. Kune chando chinorwadza unochinzwa chichipinda umuchifamba so. Chinopinda mbonzo unonzwa bonzo richitonhora. Unopfeka mazijazi nemajazi kuti kana wakaripfeka so unenge uchiremera. That is not what Africans want. Especially those who were born and bred in Zimbabwe. That is not. Inini ndinobva kuMashonaland West, ndobva kuRungo. My temperatures ekwedu, they soar up to 32, 40 degrees. Bozi unenge wakuenda kuZambezi escarpment. Kunopisa. Imagine uchibva munopisa kudaro, uchinopinda kunotonhora. Unoita yeye inonzi bvo. Saka pandakaya kuno ndakaita yeye inonzi bvo. Iyai. Yekuti kana kumhanya panze waitya. Kufamba panze unenge uchifema chando. Uchiti ukafema unoona chando. Izvozvo zvakapa kuti ve nema changes mu system, board system, makaita ma sudden changes. Not gradual changes, but sudden changes. This is not good for the people of Zimbabwe. When Mugabe was removed after this coup initiated by Katrina Lang, I think the British were supposed to urge the United Nations to ensure that there are free and fair elections in our country, or like what they did in 1979. But nothing was done. The people of Zimbabwe were left to the mess of ZANU PF. People were butchered. So we saw soldiers deployed by Emmerson Mnangagwa, the executive head, shooting innocent civilians. People were running away, and soldiers were kneeling, firing at fleeing civilians, shooting them from the back. Most of those people were shot from the back because they were running away. And no action was taken against ZANU PF. No action was taken against ZANU PF. Now we are going into 2023 election. If you see the way the voters' roll was done, if you see how the delimitation was done, if you see now today no opposition political parties are allowed to campaign, the major opposition political party has been barred. Almost 87 rallies were barred by the police. They are not allowed to campaign. So if we say Zimbabweans are ensured of a free and fair elections in accordance to the constitution of the country, so far the elections won't be free. Any result coming out of there is contestable. No, at Sataro, Mkoma Caston. Ndakataura nezuro. Ndikati the issue of 12. If ZANU PF has shot itself on the foot. If they bar those 12 from contesting, they've got 54 people in Mashonaland West who are not going. They've got 54 candidates, including Mashingo in Mashonaland West, who submitted their nomination papers around 7 o'clock. So they will be all barred from contesting. So ZANU PF, I don't think this decision will stand. These guys will contest the election. They will contest the election. Because what is there, ZANU PF has engaged these courts. They have been engaged in this widespread systematic violations and terrorism, intimidating the voters. This will make sure that any outcome now coming from these elections is contestable. Because voters are refused chance to choose candidates they want. I'm happy to see CCC allowing voters to say, look, CCC wants candidates, but the leadership cannot handpick candidates. Can provinces provide their own candidates? Go there in Matabeleland, go there in Mashonaland, conduct your business, give us the final list to say, as Mashonaland West Province, we've got these candidates as our candidates. Then we accept whatever comes from the people. This is what ZANU PF doesn't want. This is what ZANU PF doesn't want. So, in other words, this fraudulent votes or fraudulent election, it must be condemned. Any votes or any victory from a fraudulent system must be condemned. I'm talking about this following the footsteps of Edison Shobo in 1979 when I was addressing United Nations in America. He said, anyone who rigs election must be slapped by sanctions and must never be allowed to visit member states of the United Nations. So I am saying that any fraudulent result coming out of the 2023 election must be condemned. And sanctions must be put now, not targeted sanctions. Because as far as I'm concerned, so far since last year, I've been campaigning for removal of targeted sanctions against these ZANU PF people. Because they've used this as an excuse to say because we are not allowed to do this. They are allowed to go to America and buy 4x4s from America. But they tell you that we can't go to America and buy cancer machines. We can't go to Britain and buy medication because of sanctions. But we have seen them buying thousands and thousands of cars from America. And they've shared these cars amongst themselves. Vakutopawo vana mboko. Muzachidhara chainzi mboko chaichi chakaitwa vice president naMugabeji. Chakatonzwa utoriwo motikari iyo mudhara. Sangogara kuti wamwe tukuba uke wakagara wakavata. Uya kuno mota iyi mari 500,000. Vanodya at the expense of the people of Zimbabwe. So this is why I am saying, guys, there is this blatant violation of our constitution. The constitution that you agreed upon, you wrote and handed to the government to see. Any government that comes into power must abide by this law. This is the supreme law of this country. Everything has been disqualified by this terrorist movement you call ZANU PF. They've sidelined, they've suspended the constitution of the country, which is disastrous. The consequences, honestly, are disastrous. Because the people of Zimbabwe are not happy at all. Nangachitaura nyaya Jonathan Moyo. Angachitaura about the slaughter of his father by the 𝗙𝗂𝗲𝗰𝗁 people. Let me say, pane mumdhara wanda kataura naye. If I've got a chance mdhara yakabvuma, it's either I'm going to interview him. Ndorati akutaurire chokwadi cha Jonathan Moyo. Because mdhara wa Jonathan Moyo anonzi asi mudeveli. I don't know kuti anzi vanenge vaneka undau background here. Is not in the valley. So during the disturbance of Matebeleland, there were quite a lot of villagers who were executed by the people termed as dissidents themselves. And they are saying Darawa Jonathan Moyo was part of the people executed by the dissidents because he was being accused of working with the government. So once these guys were cross about that mdara and they gunned him down. This is why you see Jonathan Moyo haakwanise kubva muZANU azviite, because ZANU PF handiyo yakauraya baba vake. Baba vake vari kunzi vakaurawa nevanhu vainzi madissidents. Ndo vakamuti mdara uyu ari kutitengesa. Ndipo vakadiscover kuti he was not in the valley. So he was executed by the dissidents, not by ZANU PF. And he was shot, and he was shot in front of his family. He was told to dig his own grave in front of his family. And he was told to lie down in the grave. And they shot him. Arim Guva. Then they were ordered. Hamadzai dzakanzi fusirai. Fusirai ndo zvatoita vatengesi Matebeleland. Saka muchiona Jonathan Moyo cannot give an accurate account of how his father was killed. Because he knows that he lies that he was killed by the likes of Mnangagwa or the 𝗙𝗂𝗲𝗰𝗁. This is why you see he can't leave ZANU PF. Because his father died working for ZANU PF. And these dissidents felt his father was selling them. Because a lot of villagers were executed there by the 𝗙𝗂𝗲𝗰𝗁, by the soldiers, because they were supporting these guys to say, look, vape chikafu, vape yembe, vape chi. And the mdara wa Jonathan Moyo anzi anga ari busy kunotengesa mani. Kuti pamushapo ndo vari kuita zvakati, pamushapo ndo vari kuita zvakati, vanhu vachiurawa neZANU. So these guys came and executed him. And Saka mudhara yakati hanzi this guy aishanda kusupport unit during that time. Saka akataura kuti I know a lot about what happened. Saka kana azobvuma, I might bring him live to interview, but akati haasuda kubuda because anosvika kuurawa. Saka tinongomurekodha achitaura nyaya yacho. Achitaura because I think vanenge vakazoatenda scene yacho here yekufa kwakaita mudhara. So guys, ZANU PF, a Marxist organization, a Marxist terrorist organization that has reduced our country into the basket, former bread basket of Africa, to a basket case. They are coming to you, telling you that they want to better your lives. They want to build Zimbabwe. They want to make sure that the economy of Zimbabwe rise. I'm not sure how they are gonna do that. But as it stands now, Zimbabwe needs tons and tons of food to survive. And Russia has promised you food. But ukaanza kwachitaura wana mutsvango hanzi matura azere. Ndakati matura azere ndapi? Come on, chinhu chikuita noise. Matura azere ndapi? Zimbabweans are suffering. Zimbabweans are crossing into South Africa, crossing into Botswana, kwira ndege kuenda as far as Canada, kuchando. Hakuna kusina muZimbabwean. I don't think Russia ndo kwavari chete, besides vanoshanda kuembassy. I don't think the rest are. Zimbabwe, we have fled our country. We have got no confidence in these liberators. They are no longer liberators. They are now oppressors. There are people stealing elections. And how do we put confidence in those people? They have ruled us for 43 years. What's this thing, can't? Come on, man. Yeah, good. And in the morning, Saka meno, guys. Kuti 𝗘𝗹𝗲𝗰𝗁𝗁 say, because we are suffering worse because of these electoral frauds. We cannot see the fruit of an election. We only see the sour grapes of the voter fraud. Zimbabweans have never enjoyed life. So I'm appealing to the British Foreign Office, if they can hear this video, or if anyone can tag the British Foreign Office, please, guys, look at what you did to Zimbabweans. Supporting a coup, allowing Mnangagwa to take over control of Zimbabwe. And the British must be prepared now for more migrants from Zimbabwe. Because the person you thought was going to change what Mugabe had done wrong is done worse than Mugabe. Zimbabweans are suffering more than Mugabe. Zimbabweans are cheated. Zimbabweans are intimidated. Zimbabweans are terrorized. Zimbabweans are murdered by the men you thought would bring changes to the country. Opposition candidates now are beaten up. They are not allowed to contest an election. The courts have been captured. The judges are given man and cars bribed by the government, bribed by ZANU PF. Even those who killed opposition members are walking scot-free in that country, in Zimbabwe. Houses are blown up. Cars are attacked and burnt because we are towards an election. That terrorist you supported has led to this suffering. Zimbabweans are suffering. And they are preparing to claim that they've won this election under these circumstances. The British Parliament has debated a lot about this. And they have stated it that Mnangagwa is worse than Mugabe. And I don't know why the British accept even the ambassador of ZANU PF in this country. They must close the embassy. They must sack ambassador they must sack him. Because by sacking that ambassador, they will show respect to the people of Zimbabwe. They need to apologize to the people of Zimbabwe for allowing this coup to take place. This coup was supposed to have been condemned. And the results of this coup is what we are seeing today. Because if you allow voter thieves to set up an embassy in this country, that means you are supporting the fraud. And your support for these fraudulent elections is catastrophic. Look at the consequences it has on Zimbabwe. Millions of Zimbabwe have since left Zimbabwe. Thousands of Zimbabweans have been murdered in the last 6 years. Doctors have been abducted and tortured. And some of these abductions were caught on camera. You saw them. The victims are there. Where are we going as a country? Where are we going as a country? Because now, Mnangagwa is going to Russia to support a man who hates the Lord. A man who hates Jesus. So I don't know where we are going. We have got politicians in our country who try to call themselves Jesus. Zimbabwe was supposed to be a Christian country. A Christian country. Where we envy good things. But surprisingly, we are seeing the greed, lust, glutton, wrath, pride and sloth. We have got an intolerant Marxist regime that is ensured suffering of the people of Zimbabwe. I think when God wants to judge a nation, he gives them the wicked leaders. Our nation, our country is going to be judged now. Because the experience that we had for the past 43 years, no any other human being can survive such conditions. Look at Niger. They managed to do a coup. Go to other countries. They've done coups. They've removed these regimes that have led to people suffering. A government like Zimbabwe government, big enough to give everything you want. They can't. A strong economy. We've got a strong natural resources. We've got natural resources available for a strong economy. But they've taken everything for their children, for their relatives, for themselves, whilst the whole nation is suffering. So we have lost liberty, and this liberty has been lost forever. Now we are towards an election. We are towards an election where we see our people being butchered. We are witnessing this from a distance. We cry on every day to say, where is God? Please come save us. I know when you want to judge a nation, you give it wicked leaders. We have got wicked leaders who do not care about the suffering of the majority. Today, they are doing all sorts of wrongdoing, which are punishable by God's word. But until you do it, vana veZimbabwe vamira havachazivi kwekuenda. Government iripo haichazivi maduties and responsibilities ayo segovernment inofanira kuitei. They can no longer protect our law-abiding citizens. Zimbabwe has got law-abiding citizens. This is why we see that demonstrate munonyarara, amunoita rally munonyarara, amuna chamunoita munonyarara. And ZANU PF has failed to punish lawbreakers. Criminals in ZANU PF are walking scot-free. Corruption gurus are walking scot-free. Murderers who killed our political opponents are walking scot-free. Second route and cheat. Electoral fraud, yakufanirwa kuve tichallenge varume, because what we need is true freedom, and that true freedom can come. It can come within your time and within my time. Zimbabwe, you will see it as a prosperous nation once you vote President Nelson Chamisa. Your lives will change once this man is voted in power. This man, what we just need is to smash this cultural Marxism. The Marxism must be destroyed in our country. It has never worked anywhere in the world. Go to China, get the opposition unofa. Go to Russia, get the opposition unofa. You go to Zimbabwe, get the opposition urukufa. Changira yakaenda sekutamba. Vana Patson Zamara vakarwa pasi kuseka. Because these Marxists, they don't want to be challenged. Saka ndikutaura ndichiti patasvika wakomana, we must rise up. Tasvika pekuti tane agenda yatinayo. Yekuti agenda yedu is to ensure that we remove this deceitful ZANU PF. They are just buying time. They will never better your lives. They will never better your economy. They will never change anything in Zimbabwe. They have shown failure. So our agenda is to remove them. Our agenda is to ensure that the Zimbabweans will go and vote in millions and protect your vote. Good night. 2011. Mangwana ndine rwendo. Good night. I salute you all. Gaindi seni dirura. Dirura vakumana. Dirura rimbanje. Una vakumana. Una dirura rimbanje. Una dirura vakumana. Saka chatana acho toti makorokoto ine social media. Because kuya kwakaita social media varume kwakatibatsira zvikuru. Kwakaita kuti deal with the deception. Kwakaita kuti deal nepropaganda yezanu. Maybe we're gonna say that worse. Because I used to big up one when I farira stere 𝗘𝗹𝗲𝗰𝗁𝗂𝗋 akamira akataura apa aichema kuratidza kuti anga ane passion. Chakaleka pana 𝗘𝗹𝗂𝗰𝗁𝗂𝗋 training. Dai akatrainwa kuti takaita masoja 𝗘𝗹𝗂𝗰𝗁𝗂𝗋 muZimbabwe maita hondo. Munhu wandaifutarisira kuti uyu munhu is a military leader. Munhu akaita sa mukoma wangu Madzori. Ane kachimilitary kaanga anako mblood make, although asiri a trained man. Aufanya ema MP. Takaitaura nezuro mukoma nomeni. Takaitaura nezuro. Nyaya ema MP, Supreme Court yanzi yanga iri parecess. Saka all of a sudden it has agreed to take the case into management. Saka the case will be probably heard on Monday or Tuesday. I'm not sure. Because the part of case management, this will further delay printing of ballots. And also CCC is planning to challenge the 54 seats that ZANU PF submitted nominations around 7 o'clock with evidence there. Saka election yacho inenge chanetsa kuitwa. So what I can foresee is just the Supreme Court will just say this was an error by the judge, then these guys will contest. I think ndokota akuenda. Andimo. Saka varume regai nditi nini panhasi taperera pano tosangana mangwana kana ndichinge ndakasira kusvika. Mangwana ndanonoka kusvika munongondinamatira kuti ndikasire kusvika naye. Regai nditi good night. Musare zvakanaka guys. Tosangana mangwana. Good night. Dirihora vakomana. Dirihora rembanje vanogara mudirihora. Vanogara mudirihora. Vanogara mudirihora. Vakomana vanogara mudirihora. Dirihora rembanje nogara mudirihora. Musatambe navo vanogara mudirihora. Dirihora rembanje vanogara mudirihora. Dirihora vakomana. Let's pray for Zimbabwe. Good night.